I think that fabulous eyebrows are fabulous. Don't you? But what do you do if, like me, you're not born with fabulous eyebrows? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be sharing a few tips that I have uncovered that'll take my eyebrows from this kind of wimpy situation to this. If you're new here, welcome in. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle for the over 50 and over 60 woman. We're talking eyebrows today, and I believe, my opinion, is that eyebrows really do make a difference in our makeup. And if we can improve our eyebrows to frame the face, give us a beautiful shape and kind of a focal point, we're going a long way to have a fabulous look in our finished makeup routine. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you want all the good stuff, you might want to sign up for my Sunday morning email newsletter. The link is in the description box down below. Every Sunday morning, I send out a very short, very sweet, very popular email newsletter featuring all the cool things I found throughout the week, whether it's a great sale, a good piece of information, a recipe you absolutely have to try, whatever you and I would be talking about if we were out together having coffee. That's what goes in the Sunday morning email newsletter. It's kind of a tradition here at Pretty Over 50. Ladies grab their tea or they grab their coffee on Sunday morning. They enjoy the Sunday morning email newsletter. They watch the Sunday morning video. It's a whole thing. It's super easy to sign up. The link is in the description box down below. Super free, super fun. I think you're going to love it. Well, we're talking eyebrows today, and I do feel like eyebrows are kind of a cool thing when we can make them look a little bit better. But as you can see, my eyebrows on their own are a little wimpy, they're a little splotchy, they're a little thin, they're just not much to write home about. What I'm going to share today are the tips that I have come across that I use on a regular basis in order to keep my eyebrows looking as good as possible. When I'm sitting down to do my makeup, I start with my eyebrows almost at the beginning. I like to lay down a good foundation for my eyebrows before I do the rest of my makeup. It kind of sets the stage for color, for value, and for framing of the face. So when I'm sitting down to do my makeup, I'm generally done with my skincare and have allowed my skincare to absorb into my skin for generally about 20 to 30 minutes. So I time my morning skincare routine so that once I put my skincare on, I go do a few things and then I sit down to do my makeup. One of the very first things that I do when I sit down to do my face for the day is I take a tissue and I'm going to run it through my eyebrows back and forth. And why am I going to do that? Because a lot of my skincare has gotten into my eyebrows. My topicals, my moisturizer, that sort of thing. And that buildup on that eyebrow hair is going to really hinder the laying down of any color I put on my eyebrows. So I take a tissue and I kind of go back and forth on my eyebrows to make sure that that skincare is a little less goopy on my eyebrows. The next thing that I do, and I actually do this fairly often because I have, what would I describe them as, very dynamic eyebrows. My eyebrow hairs grow a lot. I can go to bed a normal person and I wake up in the morning and I've got this Karl Malden action on my eyebrows. And because the hairs are a little bit longer, I don't have shorter eyebrow hairs, they can move around during the day. So I always, well, not always, but almost every time I sit down to do my makeup, I will take my eyebrows and you can see what I'm doing right here. I am brushing them up because I want to see if there's any wild and woolly hairs that have happened overnight. And although I trim my eyebrows probably a few times a week, I always end up with a crackpot eyebrow that has grown like an inch overnight. So what I'll do is I will raise up my eyebrows, and any that are really long, I will just snip them off. Why do I do that? Because those are the eyebrows that are going to move around during the day. In addition, my particular eyebrows, they will curl as they get longer. And I don't want curly eyebrows. It's just not a look I'm going for. So I always make sure that I'm trimming anything that's getting a little bit out of control. And I just have scissors, little pair of hair cutting scissors on my makeup table, and I use this and I lift them up and I just clip off any wild ones that are a little bit too about you. My skin is not as taut and wrinkle free as it used to be. How about you? It happens. It happens as we get older, and particularly once menopause hits and we go through that whole thing, nothing is ever the same again because our body kind of backs off on a lot of the things it had been producing in abundance when we were younger. Collagen, elastin, estrogen, all those kinds of things. So it's very, very reasonable that one day we wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, what happened? One of the advancements in skincare has been estrogen cream for the face, because what you're doing is you're replacing something that your body is a little bit more stingy with now. We just don't have the bandwidth to keep supplying a lot of the things that our body had the bandwidth before. But my big question was, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. It sounds great, but how do I get it? And what do I do? That sort of thing. Enter the company Alloy, and I'll tell you what, ladies, this is everything I would want a good estrogen face cream to be. And Alloy is the sponsor of this portion of the video. One of the big concerns I had when the whole estrogen cream thing came out is that it made perfect sense to me, because I understand that our collagen production reduces, our elastin kind of gets funky, our estrogens, I don't know, moves to another country. It just leaves. How do we get that back into our face in a way that's reasonable? I understood it. I thought it was a great idea, but I didn't know what to do. And you guys know I'm not a big go to the doctor person, so it's not exactly that I can say to my general practitioner, like, can you give me some face cream? I knew that wasn't going to work. That's why Alloy has been such a gift to me. I have actually been using the M4 product line from Alloy for over 3 months now, and I'll tell you the bottom line right now. I love, love, love it. What is the M4 skincare line from Alloy? It is a prescription line of skincare specifically for us, for women our age, women who are entering menopause, in menopause, or like me, menopause is in the rearview mirror, but unfortunately, things have not changed since it went away. The core ingredient in the M4 skincare line is estriol. Estriol is a gentle, effective form of estrogen, and it does wonderful things for your skin. It restores collagen, it adds hydration, and it improves elasticity. I've been using it for 3 months now, and I can tell you the bounciness in my skin and the texture and feel of it, I can totally tell a difference. What estriol does, and this makes total sense to me, and it probably will for you too, is it binds to the receptor in the skin, which makes it localized skincare. It's not going to travel into your bloodstream or around the body. It's going to stay in that area, the neck, the face, and around the eyes, where we really need it. At least I do. Maybe you do too. Think of it as giving back to your skin what the hormone changes took away. As far as I'm aware, this is the first estriol skincare formulation specifically for women our age. And that for me is a gift, but it gets even better. I have been using this again for over 3 months, just about 3 months. The formulation is lovely. It is super, super easy. And how do you use it? What I do is I use it at the beginning of my skincare routine, both morning and evening. First, I use the M4 eye cream. And what does the M stand for? Menopause. That makes sense to me. So the M4 eye cream, I just put like half a pump on my finger. I dot it here and here and here and here. I rub that in, and then I go for the M4 for the rest of my face. I put a pump on my neck because my neck needs it. I don't know if yours does, but mine does. And then I use another kind of, 3/4 of a pump for around my face. The formulation is silky, it is hydrating, it is yummy. I lay that down and then I put the rest of my skincare on top of that. It has been super easy. The formula is yummy. There is zero irritation. And the effects on my skin, I notice when I look in the mirror now, things just look a little fuller, a little plumper, a little better. But what I can say is I know that it's going to look a lot better in another 3 months and another 3 months and another 3 months because it's going to build on top of itself. And the cool thing for me is I'm thinking, as I almost am 69, that maybe I'm going to keep up with the aging process. Maybe I'm going to stay the same for a few years with my aloe. So what's in the formulation? You guys know I am a stickler for ingredients that really make a difference. In other words, I don't see that there's any point of taking the time and spending the money to slap something on your face that really isn't going to move the needle that much. So I have identified things over the years that I think, okay, that's worth it. That's worth the purchase and it's worth the time. What I like about aloe is they are in agreement with me about what really moves the needle. So not only is the estriol in here, and is that how you pronounce it? Is it estriol or estriol? Anyway, you guys get the point. Not only is that ingredient in the aloe mix, but there's also hyaluronic acid, big winner right there, peptides, which for me, you gotta have peptides in your skincare routine, and vitamin E. It is an absolute yummy skincare line. I love it. I'm going to continue to use it, but it gets even better. I'm not kidding you. You guys know, if you've been following me for a while, and if you haven't, you're going to learn this right now. I don't like fussy. I don't like a lot of stuff I have to go through. I want things to be smooth. I want them to be easy. I want it to go well. This is so easy to work with. You just go online, you fill out a really quick little survey asking you what your skincare concerns are, and boom, that's it. It's not that whole trying to find a doctor who understands my skin isn't what it used to be and trying to get something for it that's going to work. No, they have done it right. They have brought it down to a very smooth process, which for me is half the thing right there. If they can make a good product and make it very easy for me to use it, I am all over it. So what I can tell you is I am so glad I found aloe. Their formulations are wonderful. The difference in my skin is so noticeable, and I'm excited to see how things are going to look 3 and 6 months down the line. So thank you, aloe, for introducing me to your product. I absolutely love it. And if you're interested in giving it a try, I do have a discount code. It's PRETTY25, and you'll get $25 off your first order. All the details are listed in the description box down below. Love this skincare line, a new staple for my AM and PM routine. Thanks, aloe. So now that I've got those extra long eyebrow hairs kind of kicked back down to the curb, another thing that you can do is you can put a little bit of powder on your eyebrows. Why would you want to do this? Because it's going to help soak up any remaining skincare that are in your eyebrows. You can just use a very inexpensive makeup brush. I don't know. This is from Profusion. It probably cost me a couple of dollars. And almost any powder. I'm going to use the Cloud Set powder today from Kosas. I'm going to get a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to go back and forth on those eyebrow hairs. Now, why am I going back and forth? Because we want the underneath of the hairs as much as we want the top of the hairs. So I'm going to go back and forth on my eyebrow hairs and get that powder on my eyebrows, and that's going to help absorb any extra oil that's going to be on our eyebrow hairs from our skincare and, other things that we do throughout the day. Once I have that powder in my eyebrows, I'm going to take that brow brush again and just comb it through. So that allows the powder to absorb up any additional skincare. And we're just going to comb that powder through, eliminate any extra particles, and we're good to go. The next thing I do, and this is all before I even start my makeup, I'm going to take a big fatty pencil. This is the Jones Road brow pencil, and I use the light brunette, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to just really rough in color throughout my brows. And what this is going to do is this is going to give me a visual starting point for defining a little more thicker, fuller, more attractive looking brows. So I'm going to go back and forth and really quickly just fill in what I see as any blank spaces, any light spaces, that sort of thing. Now, one thing I want you to think about when you're roughing your brows in at the beginning of your makeup routine is your 11s. Keep in mind that as we grow older, many of us get these 11 lines as a result of growing older. It just happens. And the result is that can become a focal point or a secondary focal point when someone's looking at our face. For me, the last thing that I want to do is draw attention to those 11s. I want the focus to be somewhere else on my face. So when I'm doing this inside corner of my eyebrows, I want to leave it just a little softer than perhaps the arch area, because I don't want people looking at this inside corner or focusing on it, because I don't want those 11s to be what they're noticing. So keep that in mind. If you have what you feel are significant 11s, then really think about keeping this area of your brows just slightly lighter or slightly softer so the eye doesn't go there. If this becomes a very heavy, rigid line in your eyebrows, people are going to look right there. And then that 11 area is going to become more noticeable. So I have this color worked in to my brows. And this is just the starting point. I do the detail work on my brows towards the end of my makeup. So now that I have that base color worked in, I'm going to take my brush again and really work that color through so that the color is soft, it's blended in, and there's no harsh lines. So now that I have the base work done on my brows, I'm going to hop off, do the remainder of my makeup, and then come back and show you how we pull it all together to give us a look of those fabulous brows. So I have most of my makeup done. When I do the final work on my brows, it's when all the color cosmetics are on my face except my lipstick, after my finishing powder, but before my setting spray. The reason I do this is that I want to make sure all the powders are on my face, because if I'm taking a big brush like this and putting my finishing powder on, I might disturb any detail work on my brows. And I want to make sure that that finishing powder is laid down, the brushes are kind of put away before I start in with the detail work on my brows, because I want the little bit of last minute adjustments to my brow to stay down. I don't want it to be disturbed by something else I'm doing on my face. So you can see now that my brows are a little bit more filled in than they were at the beginning of the makeup routine. If I had had any stray hairs underneath or kind of sometimes out here, I will make sure that those get taken care of during the week when, maybe I'm shaving my face or just doing skincare that day. I'll take a look at my brows and see if anything needs to be plucked. I've kept this area at the inside corner of my brows softer so that my 11s don't get a whole lot of attention, because I definitely don't want that. So now that the makeup routine is almost done, I just have lipstick and hair to do. I'm going to take a much smaller brow pencil to finish up the look. The one I used before, the Jones Road, the reason I use this at the beginning is because it's a big fatty. It fills in really, really quick, and I like to do things efficiently and quickly. So I fill in with this, but this gets put away, and the end of my routine is with this Ultra Precision Brow Pencil for e.l.f. You don't have to use this brand. You can use whatever brand works for you. I just like to make sure that that tip is really, really tiny. Another consideration is color. I have found for me that cooler tones really work a whole lot better than warmer tones. And in general, I would say that most people with their brows could do well to stay more towards the cooler tones for their brow work. Where that doesn't apply is if you have red hair or copper colored hair or auburn hair, you can tint your color a little warmer and have it look nice. I think a mistake is that when people who have naturally cool tones in their hair or silver hair go to a warm pencil, it's just not going to look as cohesive because of the warmth of that color. This particular brow pencil, I don't remember the name. It's something like taupe or blonde or whatever the lighter color is. I always defer towards a little lighter color and a little lighter value with my brows because I'm a little bit older. If I was 20 and I had perfect taut skin and these fabulous thick brows, I could probably make my brows a little bit more of a statement and have it look terrific. But because my skin is no longer taut, I have wrinkly crinklies around my face, my goal is to create shape and value and color, but have it be a little soft and what I call misty. So I'm looking for something that's going to give me the color, the cool color I'm looking for, the value I'm looking for, which is a little bit darker than my natural brows, and not be too strong or too harsh, because I think that that's kind of can create issues because it just brings out the less than taut nature of my skin. So I've got my brow pencil right here. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my brows and think, where do I have some sparse areas? Even though I use that big fatty brow pencil, I'm going to go in and just really lightly fill in any areas that I think didn't get quite enough color. So it's just a light flicking stroke. I'm not drawing, I'm flicking into those areas that I think could use a little bit more color. So again, I'm going to pick up my brow brush and I'm going to brush that fresh color in to make sure that it blends and there's no harsh edges. And as you watched me do that, you can see that I didn't focus on this inner area because I want that to be a little bit softer than the rest of my brow, so that 11 area stays a little less noticeable on my face. The next thing I do with my brows is I define that bottom edge. That's really going to help frame the eye and bring a nice layer of definition to the eye area without being super harsh. In general, our skin in this area as we mature stays a little bit better than maybe the lid right here, the movable lid, or the under eye area. So I am comfortable defining that area a little bit more. I'm going to take that skinny brow pencil and with little flicks, I'm going to define the bottom line of that brow. And just that definition on the bottom of that brow is really going to bring everything into focus. So you can see the difference here to here. It's just a little bit more shaped. It looks a little bit more defined. It looks a little bit more of an elegant line than this that doesn't have quite that definition. So I've defined the bottom of this one. I'm going to go over here and with little flicks, I'm going to do the same thing. And as you're doing it, you're really not going to see a whole lot of product laying down. But when you look at it, when you're done, it's really going to look a lot more defined and crisp and clear without creating a harsh, rigid line. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to address the end of my brows. And you can see that my brows kind of peter out at the end. I think that is just something that happens as we age. I've got a whole bunch of bushy brows up here, but a little less here. I did pluck my brows just a little bit when I was in my late teens, and I don't know if that contributed to having less hairs here now. I know I have plucked hairs off my chin 5,000 times. They still come back. I don't know what happened to these guys. I think it's probably an age-related thing that the length of the brows just gets a little bit shorter as time marches on. How do we address that? We can go one of two ways. We can pull the brow down with a longer tip, or we can pull the brow out with a longer tip. I think pulling that tip out really creates an elegant line. It elongates the eye area. It opens up the eye area. It makes your eyes look a little bit more dramatic and just, that pretty look. When we bring the tip down, what we're doing is we're closing off that area, we're shortening that eye area, and we're pulling things down. So I really try to pull my brow out as much as possible. But look, I have a line there, or the start of a line there. You can see the arch of my brow is here, arch is here, and this comes down a little bit. So I have to kind of walk that fine line between sort of angling that tip up a little bit and not making it look wonky with my natural brow shape. So I'm going to take this little sharp pencil here. I'm going to hit that bottom edge and I'm going to pull that out a little bit. I don't want to do it a lot because I don't want to have that drawn on brow look. I want it to look natural. So you can see that the length of that brow has given me a more elongated look to my eye. So I can go back in, define that bottom edge a little more, and pull that tip out just a little bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and what do you notice here as opposed to here? This brow, they're sisters, not twins. This brow comes down a little bit more. So I have to work with that shape. So I'm going to take the bottom edge, define it a little bit, and just angle that out a little bit without creating a wonky edge on my brow. So right here, you can see huge difference in my brows from when we first started. They're looking longer, the shape is more defined, they're opening my eyes up and pulling an elongated look in my eyes, and they're looking better than they were. So how do we get this to stay throughout the day? A couple of things we can do. The first is a brow gel. This is a brow gel from Trinity London. You can use whatever brow gel works for you. They come in clear, they come in colored. This particular one is a soft taupey color. The thing I don't want you to do is to just go like this and put it through your brow hairs, because we don't just want the gel on the top of the brow hairs. We want the gel all around that brow hair so they'll actually stick together and stay in place throughout the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brow gel and I'm going to gently make sure that it is going all the way underneath those brow hairs, and then I'm going to bring it back and brush that in so that those brow hairs are really going to set down throughout the day. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to brush those brow hairs back very gently, and then I'm going to lay them down so they will stay nice throughout the day. If you have gotten brow pencil anywhere around your brows and you don't know how to get it off, just take a Q-tip and you can clean up any areas super easy that way. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit everything really lightly with a little setting spray. And the reason I wait to do that is that I want that setting spray to go into my brows as well. So here we have the finished look. And you can see how just a few little flicks of a couple of pencils have really changed the shape and value and color and look of my brows. We have a more lifted, elongated look. We're opening up the eyes. We have framed the face. And all in all, it's super, super easy. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful and helpful. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You guys know it just tickles me when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. Make it a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.